I'm so excited to talk to everyone. My name is Pavel Martinez. I am a recent graduate from UC Davis. I graduated in Japanese Studies, and I'm also a MEXT Japanese Studies alumni. Now, what is MEXT? MEXT is a Japanese government scholarship where you apply to your local consulate or embassy, and then through a selection process, you get paired up with a Japanese university where you get to study get to study Japanese for 1 year in Japan, which is what I ended up doing. A little bit more about my background. I began studying Japanese around 4 years ago. And it was not until my third year of studying Japanese, the beginning of my third year, that I was able to study in Kyoto for 1 year. But everyone has some different journeys when it comes to Japanese, right? So I wanted to take you through my journey, how I began studying Japanese. A lot of people love anime, right? Anime is a is Japanese world national treasure, I would say. And there's no shame to that. A lot of people seem to be a little bit embarrassed to share about this, but in my case, I was actually introduced to Japanese cuisine through this Japanese anime that showed you how to cook. I started cooking food from the anime, and then you know, when as I was learning the names of some of the foods like yakitori or sushi and so on, I started wondering to myself, all right, so what do these names actually mean? Which in turn made me interested in learning the language. For me, as someone who grew up speaking English and Spanish, the Japanese language also always seemed impossible for me to learn, right? But my passion, not my passion, but my interest in learning it was higher than my scaredness to do so. So after I was able to learn the basic vocabulary and read my first paragraph, I felt really empowered, and that only pushed me to pursue to pursue Japanese as an undergraduate major, which is why I ended up choosing Japanese studies. Now, because I know that language learning, it's nothing without the culture behind it, I told myself that I wanted to continue my studies in Japan, for which I began researching possible scholarships online, where I found the MEXT Japanese Studies Scholarship. After there's certain requirements that you need to meet, and I did my thorough research, and after completing all the requirements, I applied, and I was ended up being matched with a university in Kyoto called Toshisha University, a great hub for international students. And there I got to take 1 year, a full year of courses taught in only Japanese. It was extremely hard, but also it's the most I've learned in 1 year Japanese, because not only did I learn, I took courses in literature and sociology, how to read newspapers, vocabulary, but they also taught you topics through the Japanese language, right? So I took also an education course. So I learned about Japanese education system and by reading Japanese articles, which was extremely daunting, but also once you get it done, you feel empowered to do it again. Another great skill that I learned from my time in Doshisha was how to do research. Part of the MEXT Japanese Studies Scholarship is that you need to work on a year-long research related to Japanese culture or Japanese society. I picked mental health among Japanese college students because it was a topic that I was already interested in, and I had a great I learned a great deal of the mental health history in Japan through reading native resources and while I was a study abroad student. Another skill that I learned in Japan, in Toshisha, was my Japanese presentation skills, right? Um, at the end of the year, I was able to present my research at a symposium. I presented it 3 times. As you can see in the middle, that's my poster right there. It's all written in Japanese. Obviously, I had help from my faculty, the faculty at my program who helped me build something neat. However, it's still my work, and I'm so proud to this day, what I did. Now, I want to switch over quickly to how I use Japanese in my daily life. Japanese learning outside of the country can be a lot of self-motivation because you need to find your own resources, your own time. However, being in Japan, you can study everywhere all at once, right? Whenever I would take the train, I would look at the signage around me and see all the Japanese text, and I would try reading it, right? I would not understand all of it. However, as the year passed, I was actually able to understand some of the signs that I couldn't read at the beginning of the year. You'll find out that in Japan there is a great deal of international students, but you'll see that a lot of the international students are also able to speak Japanese more than English. So I found myself making a lot of friendships, but through the use of Japanese, which in turn forced me to become more confident. That is not to say that our Japanese was perfect, nor my classmates, nor mine, but because we both found a common language and we both knew that we were not perfect, we were less scared to actually practice it. I also did some volunteering at the province of Fukui, where I actually was helping a small village in their attempt to increase tourism, and I was the only foreign student there, and everyone else was a Japanese college student. And I kept going there throughout the year. And at the beginning, I could not understand anything, but as I went to third by my fourth time, I was having great friendships and great talks, not only with the students who I went with to volunteer, but also with the locals as well, who spoke their own dialect of Japanese. Um, I also did for a bit part-time while in Japan. This is not necessary for you to do. However, I find myself that forcing myself to learn Japanese is the best way for me to learn. So I always try to push myself further, right? I worked at a souvenir dessert shop where I learned not only how to speak better Japanese, but how to speak formal Japanese. It's called keigo. And let me tell you, it's even hard for Japanese natives to learn how to speak respectful formal Japanese. But now I feel comfortable feel comfortable speaking and listening to other people. And because my time is running out, I do want to speak a little bit on the worries that you may have on studying in Japan. I know, for example, a lot of people are afraid to go to a new country because they may feel lonely, but because I had the same concern, I made sure to first find my community in Japan, right? How did I do that? I decided to, instead of living on my own, I lived in a dorm and not with international students, but with Japanese students. And not only did I become good friends with them, but they actually also helped me out in my day-to-day life, in especially like in government processes where my Japanese skills were not up to that level yet, right? Um, and then I also another concern that people may have could be, for example, struggling to learn Japanese in Japan, where everything is in Japanese, right? In my case, and I think this is the case for any university, there's going to be a ton of resources, a ton of really, really gentle Japanese students who want to help you learn, right? Because I don't consider myself the best self-learning, I would always go to the tutoring center and where they would help me revise my essays, right? And because I went there so often, by the end of the year, I felt extremely comfortable writing in Japanese, right? Which I would have never expected for myself. So that is to say, there's always resources at your school side to help you in your Japanese journey. And for any parents concerned for safety in Japan, let me tell you, Japan is it's one of the safest countries in the world. I've never felt more safe in my life than walking in the street. So Kyoto, I used to walk late at night from the coffee shop to my dormitory, and I still miss those walks. And just a few pictures that I wanted to show, a little bit about Japanese culture, some of the festivals that I went to, some of the food I got to eat, and some of the a little bit of the friendships that I was able to achieve while in Japan, because not only did I make Japanese friends, but also international friends, since Japan is increasing its internationalized efforts. Thank you for your time.